Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Bad Bots, Exposing Bots on Site Before They Distort Marketing-Driven Decisions. Long title, but we have so much to cover. It's going to be great. My name is Rosemary Cipriano. I am the senior content writer at Human, and I am joined by my amazing colleagues, Christine Lopez and John Waters, to talk about bots on site and how they're impacting your marketing decisions. So before we get started, I would love for John and Christine to introduce themselves. So Christine, you go first. Please introduce yourself. And we do something at Human where we talk about our favorite bots. So tell us what your favorite bot is and why.
Sure. Thanks, Rosemary. I am Christine Lopez. I'm a director of product management at Human, leading some of our media security initiatives. And my favorite robot is I have a cat, and I recently got the litter robot. And wow, what a game changer, not having to scoop poop anymore.
Amazing. I have a cat too, and I really need to get one of those. All right, John, you're up next.
John Waters. I'm a director of product marketing at Human, focused on our media, evangelizing our media security products. I'd have to go a little bit old school and say R2D2. I think he's a jack of all trades, loyal to a fault, but very quietly fierce and follows his convictions.
Quietly fierce. That is such a good phrase. I really appreciate that. My favorite robot is Karen from SpongeBob because she is so hilarious, and I hope to have just a little ounce of her humor one day. So let's dive into it. Bad bots, good bots. There are so many different kinds out there. And nearly 50% of the traffic on the internet consists of bots, which is pretty wild. We know that's not all bad bots. So, John, I would love to know what does that mean, having all that bot traffic, and what does that mean for marketers?
Sure. Well, I think let's start by defining what a bot is. So a bot is a bit of computer code that's been written to perform some sort of automation on the internet. I'm sure many of you in the audience use these every day within your marketing toolkit for everything you do, from web crawlers to social bots, chat bots, and even bots for creative testing. Pointed out, we labeled this group, which is the majority of the bot population, as good bots. They're designed to help the internet run as expected, and they openly identify who they are, what they are, or I guess what they are and what they're intending to do. The industry even captures a list of this and shares this of the widely known good bots. However, when these bots become what we'll call bad bots, when they fall into the hands of competitors looking for an edge, or worse yet, cyber criminals, these bad bots do not help the internet run as expected. Bad bots are created to serve illegitimate or even illegal purposes, and they typically try to mask their identities to appear as real humans. I think the saying that we use is, if you could make yourself look like a million humans, what could you do? And that's what the bots are designed to do, to make one human look like a million, or automate that. And so today's fraudsters use these bots to automate and amplify their efforts.
Got it. Okay. So good bots are like Smarter Child from the AIM days, if anyone remembers that. Bad bots are what we're talking about here. So I know it may sound like a little bit of a broken record, but we know that the pandemic changed just about everything and significantly changed our internet behavior. Early in the pandemic, we actually did a small little research study, and we found that there was a 50% jump in the number of unique devices requesting ads just in March 2020. It's pretty wild. Now, we know that the number of people on the internet didn't really change. So our lives just moved online. And Christine, I would love for you to talk about How has this shift impacted the digital ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the dam opened up, right? Like we're going through this digital transformation. I really think on-site is just the new front door for everyone engaging with an end consumer. That could be brands, publishers, really anyone. And from a marketer's perspective, you are spending more money to engage with these users, acquire new users, and all that good stuff within the digital ecosystem. And then I think digital marketing in general is just getting more challenging. Paid tactics are so siloed, and there's just so much pressure, especially as we're heading into potentially a recession, that every dollar spent on marketing has to prove that it was worth it. And so with all of these new avenues to reach consumers and reaching them with their limited attention spans, the bottom line is everything is harder. Whether it's marketing or ops or analytics, it's just so complicated. And in this new digital first world, different from the before times, your marketing efforts are only going to be as successful as the data at your disposal. So having that fine-grained control for you and your team to deliver on performance goals, you really can't afford to let anything get in the way of muddying that data.
Right.
And I think, we talk a lot about like bad bots sort of hiding in the shadows, right? So I think we need to figure out, how do we brighten the light? How do we make it more obvious, like what human behavior is online and where the bots are coming from and what they're doing, in order to make sure that your data-driven decisions are driven by humans.
Gotcha. You said data, said digital transformation. I think we just need to say metaverse, and then we have like an ad tech bingo. So we're almost there, guys. That's so interesting. And I know a lot of people are probably hearing this and saying, okay, well, what does this have to do with me? Like, I'm not a security team, I'm a marketer. So why should marketers care about these bad bots?
I mean, I think Christine nailed it. Is data. Your data is the lifeblood of everything that you do in your marketing efforts. It's how you measure it. It's how you reach your audiences. So no doubt your security teams have a whole toolkit of their own designed to protect your website from a host of threats that it faces. For the most part, these are designed to protect your site, your environment from external intrusions, to protect your network, your site operations, perhaps the PII that you have stored from your customers, and they do this well. Even you probably have some tools that as a marketer you use, including, let's say you have a website analytics tool that keeps those bad bots or the bots in general from ending up in your reports, or at least you think they do. But as cyber criminals are growing more and more sophisticated and evolving, it's becoming harder to identify those bots for some of these tools. And as they evolve, so must you, and so must the tools that you use to keep your assets protected. So put plainly, what's at stake and why should you matter? Your data. And if you suddenly had a reason to doubt that your data was reliable, what would that do to your marketing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, data is it's that lifeblood behind everything we do. So we can't have that being impacted and messing up any of our perfectly laid plans as marketers, right? So it sounds like bots are like kind of obsessed with marketers. They're just like, why are they so obsessed with us? Why does fraud want, like, what does fraud want with our marketing?
I mean, I think the simple way to answer that is they want a payday. Fraud typically, in cybersecurity, there's an old adage that says fraud follows the money. And we've seen this as we've approached ad tech and all of our new markets. Where there's money, there is fraud. And the fraud finds a way to do this. So, but this fraud might not even be just a cyber criminal. It could also be one of your competitors trying to get an edge. Maybe they're using a bot to steal information from your site. So, for example, an e-commerce site, for an e-commerce site, that might mean a competitor is scanning your site to find some pricing information about a competing product or information on the latest sale that you're pushing. And then they're taking that and automating that across. But when cyber criminals do it, an example of that might be, let's say you have an affiliate program and you're running an affiliate program to generate leads. And whatever the desired outcome, a bot can fake that desired outcome. And again, as I mentioned, if a bot can make a human look like a million humans, that little payout can be quite large as it multiplies itself.
Yeah, and sorry to jump in on that, John. You just made me think of something. You know, I think as marketers, like we drive so much of our optimizations and toolkit is around like on-site conversion events. So these are arbitrary things that users do on site that indicate an expected value. You know, maybe you put maybe you're shopping for engagement rings, right? And like you put one in your shopping cart, like that's an on-site conversion event. Or you order a ring sizer, that's an on-site conversion event. So all of these little things are being optimized to in our marketing toolkits, but they're not actually revenue generating outcomes. So they could have a potential expected value in our analytics, but bots don't convert. Bots don't drive revenue generating outcomes. And I don't think there are any bots that are buying engagement rings. R2D2 is a cool dude. I'm sure he's got someone. But like ultimately we have to recognize that these intermediate steps are really valuable for measuring the quality and the performance of paid tactics. But at the end of the day, that's not where you're getting your return on ad spend calculations from. So we have to filter out bots from those events.
Gotcha. Wow. I wish a bot would propose to me. That might be the first time it would ever happen, right? Just Guinness Book of World Records.
Well, there's a million of them that are going to do it.
Right? I'm putting it out there, so now it will all come to me. Please, I am open to getting engaged to a bot. So bots apparently make money off of this. How do they do that? How do they make money off of marketing?
Yeah, sometimes it's collateral damage. So if we think about like on-site data hygiene, right? We once had this company that sold like textbooks, and there were all of these bots like driving these small, eensy-weensy textbook buys. And we're like, why is this happening? What is going on? And ultimately it was cyber criminals like would find credit card numbers on the dark web and then test out which ones would actually work. Because in most cases, credit card companies aren't going to stop someone from purchasing a $5 used book. So in that case, it was kind of collateral damage, but still impacting data analytics on site and not like doing badness for the world, right? So I think there are some of those instances, and then there are others like very clear-cut ones, right? Like if we look at mobile, cost per install is like such a huge performance area. And there are, fraudy SDKs that will redirect and try and capture the credit, right, for those install campaigns and get paid out on it. So there is a siphoning of funds. There is distortion of your on-site analytics. And there is just wrong place, wrong time.
Right. It's like a slow burn of just messing up with marketers and piling on.
There's always the, like, when we have so many siloed paid campaigns, we have to have constant vigilance on what it is that our partners are sending us. So I think that's the other thing. Like, you have to have that data yourself, because when you are armed with that data, you have the power to demand more and demand better from your vendors and partners as well.
Got it. Yeah. So, like, we talk a lot at Human about modern defense, right? A modern defense strategy to stop these bots. So I'm sure our audience is wondering, how the hell do I fix this problem? What can I do as a marketer to actually enact some change? So I would love to kick it over to both of you and just see, where do you guys think marketers can get involved to actually make some change?
Yeah, well, I think, our hope today is we don't want to alarm marketers, because we do believe there is a way to, we want you to be alert. We don't want to alarm you. There is a way to address this. And part of it is being aware of the problem, and then moving forward. And I think when we talk about modern defense, I think a quick way to describe it is, in sports, sports loves its catchy phrases. And one that's been resonating for me in relation to this is, the best defense is sometimes the best offense. And I think in fighting cybercrime, fighting bots, a lot of what has happened previously is just sit back and keep it from getting in, versus really going out and addressing it, and taking the fight to whether it be a bot or a cybercrime or whatever it might be. And I think, rather than just blocking and waiting for the next one, finding ways to get ahead of it.
Christine, do you have anything to add?
Well, I have a really hokey example, but I'm just going to go with it. So, like, if you think back to, the 90s, like, there was the club, right? Like, you put it across your steering wheel and it would prevent your car from being stolen. And, like, that was really good for the cars that had the club. But then car thieves would just go to cars that didn't have it on there. So to me, like, this is what collective protection means. So it means, like, when we look at the entire ecosystem, when we look at the entire digital marketing ecosystem, and can find and stop and fight and take down fraud actors, we have this notion, right? Like, there is security when we have a collectively protected ecosystem. And I think that's what we have to drive for. Otherwise, it's just a game of whack-a-mole. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's interesting, the stuff with the clubs and the cars. I'm not going to say when I was born, but I did not know that. So that says enough. So let's bring us back to the beginning, when we said that marketers may think that this is a security team issue. And our security team should probably be a little bit involved, but marketers need to be involved as well. So how can they break down the silos within their organizations to stop marketing fraud?
Yeah, you touched upon it. I just want to reiterate the point is that fighting against anything by yourself is never a good thing. But the reason why the two teams need to come together is they're both maybe fighting the same battle, just in a different way. They might have different outlooks on that battle, but if they can come together, they're able to better identify the threats security teams may not be seeing things in the data because they may not be looking at your data. Whereas you might not be seeing things in the security side of the world because you're not worried about network attacks or whatever it might be. But if you're both looking at it through your lenses, looking at the same problem, you're a more unified fight is a better fight. And it will allow you to better identify the threats, better utilize the tools you have at your disposal, and ultimately better protect your assets. And for a marketer, it helps you focus more of your efforts on driving your revenue, driving success on your marketing.
Got it. Christine, anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's all about communication and collaboration. Like you have to have cohesion amongst the groups. We have a customer who is like so proud because they are a marketing team that can spot like when badness is coming to site faster than their security team because they're constantly looking at their on-site analytics and what is being done. And they're looking at it because, they want to know which content is really popular and which paid tactics are working best. But they notice the anomalous behavior in traffic and can flag it to their security teams. So I think that's the other thing, right? Like digital marketing and ad tech in general is like sometimes overly complex. But there are so many nuances to, operating within the ecosystem that I think it really behooves organizations to make sure that they are, understand how to best support it.
Yeah, that's awesome that they spotted before the security teams. I'd be like, hell yeah, I did that. This kind of reminds me of Red Rover in a way, how we all need to kind of like come together, put our arms up and fight against whatever's coming our way. If anyone remembers Red Rover. So we're coming up on our time. I want to make sure we have time for questions as well. So I'd love for you guys to just kind of both give us the top key takeaways of what does our audience need to walk away with. So Christine, want to go first?
Yeah, I don't let this be a blind spot. Don't ignore it. And think about how it impacts your KPIs. Just get the knowledge. And when you're armed with knowledge, you can make better decisions.
Great. John?
I think we just talked about it. It's work together, collaborate, communicate, within your organization, outside of your organization. It's better when we, like was said earlier, we brighten the light. We shine some light into the shadows and make it harder for the bots and the fraudsters to hide within.
Awesome. Well, thank you two so much. We have a couple of questions, so we could just dive right into those. If one team, either marketing or security, isn't fully understanding the better together approach of teaming up, what should they do?
Oh, yeah, that is a good question. We can play Red Rover and, we can buy out together. But it really is communicate. And I think, communicate the needs. Like if the marketing team has specific needs and specific questions, ask that of your security team, ask to speak to their security vendors as well to, help solve your problems. Because at the end of the day, like bots don't operate in silos, people do.
That's amazing. Yeah. John, do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I think we've touched upon it a few times and Christine just nailed it perfectly.
Great. Bots don't operate in silos, humans do. Love that. So next question we have is, how can one get started? Where can marketing and security teams get started with this inventory and what should they do first?
Sure. I mean, Christine pointed out our customer earlier that the marketer was able to bring threats to the security team before the security team had even been aware of it. The reason why is because they were evaluating the data. So I think the best place to start is to look at your paid tactics, Look at the data from your site, your conversions, your interactions. Look at all of the data at your disposal and find something that just doesn't seem right. You know your data better than anyone else. If something just isn't adding up, that's the first thread that you should start to pull and go from there.
Got it. Christine, would you like to add?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like do a quick survey. Not like an actual survey, like a SurveyMonkey survey, but like look at what, where you are spending, look at what is coming onto your site, evaluate benchmarks and averages by different partners and vendors. And I think that can help you, weed out some of the low-hanging fruit.
Awesome. Thank you. We have another question. If we come across screwed data because of bad bots, is it possible to retroactively clean up past data and therefore fixing the skewed marketing data?
Yeah, that's a really good question. From my perspective, I think we get so much telemetry from the interactions of the users on site that it is hard to clean it up after the fact. That said, it's a good time to start on skewing your data was 2 years ago. Like that was the best time to do it. But, now is the second best time to do it. Start now.
Awesome. And for those that don't know what telemetry means, can you give a quick explanation?
Yeah, sure. So it's just like the juicy signal of behavior on site. So we kind of bucket into 3 different things. User behavior. What is the mouse movement doing? How are they interacting? Network signals and application signals. And all of that can give us a good read on whether someone is a human or a bot.
Gotcha. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Christine and John, for walking us through what are bots, what are bad bots, and what can they do to harm marketers and their data. We really appreciate it. It was a great primer on all of this. And I'd love to invite everyone to the second part of this series. I'll be coming out in the next few weeks. So please join us then to get an even deeper look into marketing fraud on November 17th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So thank you everyone for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.